Silence the Talk podcast.
That's us.
That's us, baby. We got special guest in the house, Leyna, and we have a special host today.
Hey, what's up,
Shauna
everybody?
Pressler.
Hey, yeah. So we have Leyna Luttrell with us, and she is a sex trafficking survivor and educator. And I'm so pumped to have her. She just has an incredible story. How God has worked through her has just been amazing. She had the opportunity to share a little bit with our church, and her story is just really touching and incredible. So welcome, Leyna.
Hi.
We're
welcome.
so
Thank
pumped
Yeah,
that you're here.
I'm super excited.
I can tell you, I told Kyle this. I don't know how, it's been probably 4 months.
Yeah,
I was
he's
like,
been
hey,
wanting you to get on for a while.
I couldn't remember the name. I couldn't remember even what church you went to, but I'm like, hey, we got to get her on the podcast. We got to get her on the podcast. The testimony was amazing.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
I'm glad you're here.
It's a full circle moment because I actually filmed the testimony here.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
In
it
the
was
lobby?
filmed right out in
or-
the lobby.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
spent 3 days here filming.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
so cool.
Yeah.
And when you when we reached out to you, we told you check out the podcast, take a
Yeah,
listen and
yeah.
stuff. And what was the first episode you listened to?
It was Leonard.
Yeah,
Was it?
and
Yeah.
how do you know Leonard?
Yeah, so Leonard, the first time I saw him in church, I couldn't stop looking at him. I'm like, man, that guy looks so familiar. And when I lived in Grand Rapids and I first found Christ and like came back to the Lord and everything, I was trying to figure myself out. I was doing the street ministry with the homeless, and it was pretty chaotic, but I would run and hide from the Mel Trotter staff because you weren't supposed to serve people in line. But sometimes they would be waiting out there like in snowstorms and stuff. So I would bring food up and I would have them like sneak around to the back of the building. And I'd be passing out hot dogs, like, like screw the system and all this, like
Free food.
yeah. And so I saw Leonard and I'm like, I think I served that guy. And so I go up to him and I said, hey, I'm not trying to be weird, but were you like homeless in Grand Rapids? And he goes, no, I worked at Mel Trotter.
I was on the other
Yeah,
side of
and
the
I'm like,
homeless.
oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Like, I think he's the guy I was running from. Like, but I mean, like, how cool is
That
that?
is good.
Like now we're both, doing ministry and stuff. But yeah, he worked at Mel Trotter. So he was, like, I don't remember directly getting in trouble from him, but obviously we were crossing paths a lot because
Yeah.
I was like a ministry troublemaker.
Oh no, you're putting in work though.
I was doing what I thought was best. Like trying to figure out how to be a Christian.
Yes.
Amen.
Just totally
Yeah, man.
backwards.
So where does your story start? I mean, did you grow up in church at all? Or?
Yeah, somewhat. I grew up with a family that was really, really religious. We were what's called like old sect SDA. So it's Seventh-day Adventism, but like almost more like Amish, I guess,
wow.
Mennonite type of thing. Like we had electricity, but you don't, you don't do anything from like sun up to sundown. You don't drive. You're not supposed to use power. There's no television. We didn't listen to music. We didn't listen to music that had any secular words. So you could listen to like big band music from like the 40s and stuff. Yeah. So like the first time I heard Journey, I was in high school and I like went and told people, but I was like 25 25 years behind.
They're like, yeah, we
they're
already
like,
heard
yeah,
that.
like our parents grew up.
like,
I'm like,
who
you guys
are
heard
you?
these guys? They're
Oh,
crazy, And I did see TVs and different things at people's houses. My parents would kind of go back and forth with their faith, but it was really scary. Like for the sermons and stuff were always about like how Methodists are going to hell, Catholics are evil.
Yeah.
Anybody outside of that church was evil, and we shouldn't communicate with them, participate with them. And God was really scary. And so I think it was around like 15, my parents got divorced. And I saw that as an opportunity because they stopped going to that church. They kind of got like pushed out. I wouldn't say shunned, but it's just like, we're not really welcome.
It was looked down on.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. And so for me, that was my opportunity to be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Anyway, I don't like it, because I remember like praying as a kid and being so afraid because of the way that our pastor presented stuff that I would try to remember all of the sins that I had committed that day. And I had this like fear, like, oh, if I forgot that I said something mean to my sister or I thought a bad thought against my sibling, and I didn't ask for forgiveness, then I'm going to go to hell.
Yeah.
And so this like keeping a tally of Christ thing constantly just broke me to the point where I'm like, I'm never going to be good enough. I don't want to do this anyway. Time to go sin. I guess.
We're supposed to fear God, but not in that way.
Yeah.
Well,
I was
they
very,
didn't
very
at all
afraid.
teach the kindness and goodness of God. It was all the gloom and doom and the judgment and all of that kind of stuff.
And
that's terrifying.
The congregation, they were great people. They were very loving, but like I watched people in our church get kicked out for showing Billy Graham.
Wow.
You know, like because it wasn't in the doctrine.
Sure.
And stuff. So like there was always this thing over your head, you know, like you can be pushed out at any time. And I like seeing a pastor and you're equating him to like Christ, right? Like, oh, then God will just be done with me if I don't read the right stuff, if I don't watch the right things. Yeah. So it's like, well, I don't care.
People are always getting in the way.
Yeah, they ruin it. They ruin it.
Sometimes Christians, you know, quote unquote Christians are the worst.
I agree.
Worst offenders.
That's our worst enemy is ourselves.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Sad but true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's that Pharisee mindset.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
That'll get you.
Yep.
So did you ever get to a point where you tried to find your own way? I mean, kind of break away from that? Or?
So as far as like, I mean, I got out of that and I feel like Satan was just like waiting with his arms wide open for me.
Yeah.
I truly believe that like if you have a calling on your life, the devil will come in as early as possible to just derail you from that. So there was not much transition time for me from church to like the world, like immediately. I'm talking like boom, drugs, sex, alcohol, like all of it, bam, bam, bam. So I jumped so quick and so deep into a hole. And you have to remember the church that I grew up in too. You don't talk about sex, you don't talk about drugs. So I have no understanding of any of this because instead of addressing it, we just don't talk about it. And
it wasn't talked about.
No, not at all. You weren't allowed to take sex ed. I wasn't allowed to take like the DARE program at my public school. So like I didn't know what an alcohol overdose was or what cocaine was or any of that kind of stuff. And I just started like doing stuff to keep up with kids around me. Like first time I even smoked weed, I just kept hitting it. And I was actually silently like choking in the back seat because I wasn't breathing. But I didn't want to tell the people I was with because they were like 24.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, oh, I want to be like them.
Like they're going to know it's my first time.
Oh my God.
So just randomly I go, you know, in the back seat. And they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And I was like choking myself because I didn't know how to be a stoner. Like, you know? So.
And I find too that like the more people don't know about stuff, it seems like those are the ones that they rebel the most because they're trying to figure it out. You know, like sometimes when you're honest and you just let them know what the world's like.
Yeah.
You know, like Shauna grew up, her dad told her everything. Yeah. Like he was he was a rock star, rock band, went out to California and stuff and was like, I did this, I did this, I did. Yeah, you can do that stuff, but I'm telling you, it's not worth it.
100%. He did all the time. And he's like, you can go to parties, you can do all this stuff. Yeah. And because he was so vivid with me in his explanations, like I went to one party and I called my mom to come get me because I was like, it's exactly like he said it was going to be. And I don't like it, you know. And
drugs.
It was, and it was just like this epiphany, like, oh, like I remember thinking like my parents are people and they've been through this stuff and they're trying to help me. And my dad, bless his heart, there's probably 1,000 things he shouldn't have said. But because he was so open, if my friends or somebody like that said it, it was no surprise to me because I was like, my dad,
you've heard
my dad talks like that all the time. Like, good for you.
That's
you know?
me
so,
as a parent.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
open
probably,
book.
And I would rather they hear it from us.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
When we
probably
can explain
too open,
things.
but
same.
I'm just like,
I'd much rather be that way, than be kind of stodgy and then like you're wondering and you're in these situations trying to keep up, but you don't even really know what to do. Like, and it's just like, like what do you?
And I will say, like I feel like God has absolutely blessed me in the fact that like my oldest right now is 18, and I think she like drinks every once in a while. I know she's smoked pot, but I was talking to my sister the other day, like, how cool is that? You know what I mean? Like, I was on a stripper pole and on my way to California already. And like, all she's doing is like regular teen stuff, you know, like that's a rebellion.
And she probably feels like she can talk to you about it. Or like if she gets in trouble, she's like, I'm going to call my mom.
She's done that before. And I'm just like, oh my gosh,
so
this is so much better.
Yeah.
Like I was homeless already, you know? So
yeah. What age were you when you started to dabble in that stuff?
I was in high school.
Like early on.
I was actually my senior year of high school. I started with the drugs and stuff pretty early, but because I was, the devil is just a genius like that. I was immediately in with like these older, like 24 to 30-year-old crowd, who I thought like, oh, they really like me. I'm so mature. And one of the guys asked me if I wanted to go to an amateur night. And so I said, oh yeah, what's that? And coming from like extreme poverty, because the lifestyle that we had growing up also comes with poverty, right? Because you have to live with little.
Right.
And I'm the oldest of 7 kids, my mom's not allowed to work. And so the first time I went into a strip club, it was like a Thursday. And I went in there with him, and I had never seen money like that. Just piles and piles of money.
Yeah, you're like, holy smokes.
Yeah. And the women, this is like in the 90s, so there was like rhinestones, and it was like a production
Stuff
back then.
you've never even imagined.
It was like Vegas, like what I had heard about and stuff. So I was just mesmerized, and they kept coming up to me, which I know now is just like a tactic because I started doing it later on. But I was just like, oh, you're so pretty. You should work here. And I was like, oh, I was so flattered. And I was like, I'm in high school. And they're like, that's even better.
Oh, my gosh.
Jeez.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, not understanding why. Right.
Yeah.
And so I came back that following week and did amateur night.
I wanted to say, too, like when we were messaging about this, because you're referencing you got in with those older like guys specifically. And we were talking about doing this interview and having us here, Jen and I, or me, or something like that, just out of so much respect for you. And you're like, honestly, I'm okay with talking about this stuff. You're like, I want you to be there because it's your husband and, Dustin and all that stuff. And I so appreciated that. But you're like, I want guys to hear this message because they're the ones that are feeding into this industry, that are primarily making it go around. And so I think that's so important.
That's who you're targeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's 100% targeting men. It's targeting secrecy. It's targeting, it's so weird because like there's so many different avenues now that didn't exist back then for this kind of stuff to be out in the open. Phones. It was like, my first phone was a Nextel. It was like a construction
brick. Beep beeps.
And
those were fun.
And I couldn't even afford that until I was a dancer because they were so expensive back then. And, but it's targeting secrecy, right? Like I learned very early on, like when you run a credit card in a strip club, it's not going to say the strip club name. There's like these shell companies that you run it through so that your wife doesn't see it on your credit card
or something like that. Yeah.
So I saw women that would come in sometimes that would just, weeping, because their husband had spent like their kids' college fund or all their savings. And there's nothing that you can do. You don't know. I'm not asking him, hey, is this Timmy's, college? Like, right, when they're swiping that card, right? But we had, secret parking. There's so many like little intricacies that are built in for it to be a big secret. So the more that I see, these things like OnlyFans and how porn is readily available, right? There's still this quiet secret sect that goes on where you can get away with a lot more because it's all under the guise of like, it's legal, right? Like you can drive by, you see the flashy lights, you go, oh, that's legal. And so we can slip different things in there that we can't, that are in the public light. Like trafficking is probably like the biggest one I saw, like it looks like a regular customer in the crowd. We have a pimp sitting right out there, collecting money and stuff. So there's a lot of, like shell things built in to destroy
crazy, man.
Men in particular.
Just to speak on it a little bit, what you just said, Shauna, I've been on that other side.
Sure.
I was that guy.
Yeah.
8-9 years ago, I was that guy that went to strip clubs.
Yeah.
We had strippers that came to bachelor parties, like 2 hotels. And just looking back on that, it absolutely just disgusts me because I have a daughter now that's 9 years old.
Yeah.
And I just think of that and I'm like, man, that's somebody's daughter up there. That's somebody's, and like, it's one of the things that like I regret the most, I'd say, in my life that I've done a lot of that just not proud of, what I mean? That I wish I could take back. But men do need to hear this. There's a lot of men out there that think it's okay and it's just a fun time. But as you'll hear, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
There's so much. I feel like it affects not only in your own heart, but just dishonoring your family and
your wife.
Yeah, I just, in so many people, I think when you're living, based on a worldly standard, you just don't think about that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's not, or maybe, if you don't have God in your life, obviously there's decent people all over the place that don't probably partake in any of that or whatever. But it just seems crazy how it just feels okay. And it's just like a thing people go and do, and then they go back and live their life, and then they will slip back into that and then go back, going back and forth. Like, it's like, where's the conscience?
Well, just how the devil normalizes it.
Yeah.
Like how it's so prevalent in our culture and even in movies and stuff. And how the devil, that's how he works, man. He just makes it, this is normal.
Yeah.
So so-and-so's doing it. That must be okay.
Yeah. And there's been a big push of that. And what I've seen like in the past 10 years, that used to be way more secret. But now we have films that are dedicated to like J-Lo is on a pole dancing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. That didn't happen, even, I think we had one in the 80s. It was I can't remember, it had like Elizabeth something in it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and every stripper was like, oh, that's my movie, but we all want to do like a water dance.
I remember. I know what the
something.
J-Lo movie is. I didn't see it, but I remember.
But they
when
even
it
do
came
that
out.
like Super Bowl halftime shows and stuff. It's just crazy, man. And kids are watching
it's getting worse. It's getting way worse.
Or just when you're scrolling like innocently, there'll be an ad that's like super sketchy or something.
Aerobics.
Yeah, something like that. Oh my gosh, that's a big one.
Let's all exercise like strippers.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I mean, it is a workout, though. Don't tell me.
Oh my gosh,
yeah. I was confused the first time I saw it, and I was like, so you're doing the pole stuff, and then like you like do lap dances afterwards? I was just like, wait, what's the point of
How do you make money off this?
Like is this to prepare you for working in the club? Like, is this classes? Or, and they were like, no, it's aerobics. I was like, oh my gosh, get out of here. No, this is terrible.
You guys don't even know.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
It's like aerobics without the trauma. Yay.
So going into this, like
that's good.
You get into this and do an amateur night and get into it. Is it something that you stuck with after that?
Immediately.
Was it?
Yeah, immediately. For me, there was like sexual abuse in my childhood. I think that is the common thread, right? I have only met one girl, and I say one, who openly was like, I don't know why I'm here. I wasn't molested. And all of us girls collectively turned and looked at her and said, yes, you were. You just don't remember. Like, we were like,
you're blacking it out.
refuse to believe that you haven't been. Because,
so there is a connection there 100%.
For sure. Yeah. There's sexual trauma. Almost every single person I met was sexually abused, or like child on child, adult on child, just some type of introduction to sex, usually starting between like the age of 5 to 8.
Wow.
Gosh. Yeah. It's
disturbing.
Like, it's just so natural, when you're talking in the back there, the way that it comes out, and you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense, And so for me, the abuse in my life lasted until I was 16. And then he tried again when I was 18. But at that point, I'd already been dancing. And so for me, it felt like I get to tell people no. Like I've been doing this. I've already know how to take my clothes off and do what I'm told, But here, I get to make money. I get to pick. I get to choose. I have power. So for me, I think the thing that Satan knew that I desired most was control and power. I didn't have
any.
He
gave it to you.
Yeah. And I got it immediately. I mean, my first dance, it was a woman, because they put women in charge, right? They put female managers in charge who have been dancers themselves, because you're going to be like more comfortable with them.
Like a softer experience.
And for me, it's like, I looked up to her. Like I wanted her life. Like she looked like power, And she walked me up to a guy and said, she's in high school. And he got right up and walked to the back, and I made $300. And then I just went to school the next day, with $300 cash. Like, what is this?
You ever seen money like that before? And you're like,
I was like, I'm going to get an apartment. I'm going to get a car. I mean, I just had to keep quiet and not tell anybody what was going on. And they helped me do that. Like they helped me and told me like, they made my schedule so that I wouldn't be out too late, since I wanted to graduate high school.
Cow.
Yeah, they made allowances
for
me.
Oh,
100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they worked it. We had a graduation party when I graduated high school at the club. that was looking back like,
it's an experience.
Some graduation party.
But I felt really special.
Yeah,
you know what I
sure.
mean? And it was a big money
Became
making.
your family
your life at that
some
time.
point.
And to the guys in the crowd, it's like looking back, like what? Like they don't even know if I'm a minor, right? Like luckily I'm already 18. But they're all celebrating with me because they think, like I'm graduating high school and they're like, oh, yeah, it's a party. Instead of like, oh, my gosh, you're somebody, you're a kid.
This is weird. Yeah.
This is weird. Yeah. You're a child, you know? And that was like a big night for me. They did a lot of things that made me feel really special. And so it was very, very easy to get addicted to that in the same way that I was already starting to get addicted to drugs and alcohol.
So drugs was flowing through the place, obviously.
Yeah. My second night there was the first time I did cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, and again, I pretended like I knew what I was doing. I just watched the girls pass it around and I was like, oh yeah, I put things up here all the time. And, I just snorted coke. And I mean, it was over for me after that. It was, I don't even think I was doing drugs because I woke up and I wanted drugs, but I wanted to keep up with these women that I felt were like my mentors, and I became that same type of perpetrator later in life. Absolutely.
So on this aspect, you're talking about a female influence in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Was your mom ever in the picture, like as you were doing this and stuff?
So I, in between the dancing and that, I was already like a loose cannon of a kid. Like I went on Jerry Springer. I was doing all types of just out there stuff. Yeah. And somebody my mom worked at a courthouse and told her, I think Leyna's dancing. And we know she's on Springer. Like they videotaped it. If this tells you how long ago, it went on a VHS. Oh, wow. And they brought the VHS of like, your daughter's on Springer. You dated yourself for sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and so they brought a VHS of Springer to my mom's office, and we're like, and she says on the show that she's stripping, So I remember the day that I was out in the audience, and you have to go around and like ask for dances. And I went up and I see this guy, and he's at the bar facing away, and I tap him on the shoulder, and I said, hey, do you want to dance? And he turns to the side, and it was my stepdad.
Wow.
Yeah, but he didn't see me. Right. He just turned to the side. I think he heard my voice, but he didn't like see me. So I just back up immediately and I think, oh, he's cheating on my mom.
But he was there for you?
Yeah. He was there for me. And so I send a girl out to ask him and she goes, yeah, he's got this blonde lady with him. And so my mom actually came to the club to see with her own eyes. And the worst part is I called my manager from the back of the dressing room and I'm crying. I'm like, my mom's out there. And she goes, just put a wig on, honey. You have to go on stage.
Ugh.
No sympathy.
So then they didn't care about you.
No. Yeah. So I had to put a wig on and go and dance and obviously my mom is like, she said when we talked about it years later, because we didn't talk for a long time after that. She said, the minute that you came out with your long red hair, I don't even know why you tried that. I was like, she made me, I did, and she was like, I just got up and walked out. Like I couldn't anymore. Like I saw everything I needed to see. And so,
holy cow.
Yeah.
What would have happened if you didn't do what your manager wanted?
I could have got fired. Yeah.
And so it's not, you say there's like pimps involved and all this other stuff. There wasn't any type of like, worry for your safety or anything like that?
Not at that point, no. Later in life, yes. Yeah,
so you're just so deep into it that like you like the acceptance, the feeling, money. The family and you have.
It's the only thing I have. Like this is my job, my life. I live with these girls now. Like, I mean, I just came boom right out of the gate. Like, I'm living and dancing with another girl here. So if I get fired, she's got to go home. And now, my whole dynamic is screwed up. So, and back then I was so young and so fresh into it. I didn't realize like I got over the course of the next 15 years, I think I got fired like 18 plus times. It just becomes like a routine thing. Sure. But that was really scary to me. Like the idea of like, I'm going to get fired. I'm also like, homeless.
What do you do? My parents know.
Yeah. My parents
don't want
know.
Me around.
I definitely can't go home, you know?
Right.
And now I'm also homeless and living with this girl.
So they make you almost rely on them.
Yeah.
Really.
They definitely have a really good system. And the further you go into it, when you start getting like plastic surgery and different things like I did, then you actually physically and, emotionally, financially, everything become dependent on that system.
It's crazy, man.
You mentioned earlier, it was a woman who came up to you first, kind of like that grooming thing, and you ended up getting into that yourself. How did that transpire? What happened there?
It was the woman that kind of mentored me. She used to be a dancer herself. She was a manager there. And I felt really special. She took an interest in me. She would do stuff like lend me her car. Like, I don't even have a driver's license. I had no business driving, but she wanted to make sure I got to work, and stuff. So she would let me go to the bars and I would pass out free passes, which I was also like in bars, these owners of the bars know I'm blasted. I'm 18, but I'm a stripper. And so it's totally fine. And I'm passing out free passes. And I start recruiting girls, right? Like, so when I go out, we would dress up. Back then, you would all wear like Playboy outfits and stuff. And you would go into these bars and you would look for people. Well, I was using what I now know as like witchcraft to kind of like hunt out, people and like, I'm going to prey on who's the most vulnerable chick in the room. And so because I start getting people to come in, whether it's guys who are spending money or I get girls on the pole, then I started getting like special privileges. And so I started doing things like these competitions. If I say the name of it, you'll know which club I worked at. So I'm not going to do that for legal because they have a great legal team. But I would do these competitions. And so then I get, kind of recognized by like bigger clubs. And I start dancing at other clubs in different cities where the management is closer to the ownership of this chain.
Closer to the big person.
The big guy. Yeah. And so it was like within, I want to say like 2 weeks from the time that I went to the smaller club that I started at to like the main club, where the owner of this chain would come in and frequently visit and stuff. I think, like I want to say like a 2 week window, but for the first time that I actually experienced like straight up trafficking.
Interesting.
And that just, it was like a flip immediately from that. You don't, trafficking isn't always like somebody throwing you in a van.
No.
And, sometimes it's
the
just,
majority of the time it's not that, right?
Right. It's
how this
just
happened.
A conversation.
Yeah.
It's like a suggested thing or like
light manipulation under the guise of being like
you've already been
super
doing
nice
this.
and caring.
What if we take it to the next level? And because the person that I was trafficked to was one of 3 owners of the establishment, there was an extra amount of pressure of like, because back then, if you got, banned from one club, you were banned from all of them. Yeah. And that includes their affiliates that they own, which are very large names. And so that's like pretty much so like all of your safety net in the state and multiple other states that I'm traveling to and working around at are
pretty much cut you
You're basically
off.
Completely,
out of work.
And now I have to go to clubs that are actually more dangerous, which is crazy because like what I'm experiencing is dangerous, but there's actually worse, if that makes sense. So I have like this false safety net that I want to stay in. And it was, it was literally just, there was no conversation in the moment that it happened. It was just like, this is what you're going to do. The cameras are turned, make him happy. You know what to do. And I'm like, what? I guess I do. Because once again, I'm just going to revert to that 8-year-old girl who just closes her eyes and goes somewhere else and get through it, And it was just like, immediate from there. Once they knew she's willing to do these things, we can get her to do what we want. It was like, okay, now you're going to start traveling. Now you're going to start going here. Now you're going to go meet him here. Now he's going to sign you out of work and he's going to take you to an apartment that literally just has a bed on the floor. And he's going to take a couple other girls from work with him and you're just going to go. And now the owner knows. And so he's bringing his son in and, like you need to help my son lose his virginity. Just like the different crazy things that are taking place like so quickly. It was so fast and sudden.
Wow.
So what was, before you found the Lord, what was the worst that it got? Like at what point did you get to, and then what happened to where you're like, oof.
Yeah. The worst for me, like the catalyst of all of it. And can I speak freely?
Yeah. Okay. Of course.
The worst one for me was, getting trafficked to a very famous porn star. That was the scariest moment I had. And it was the moment that I realized, like, I do not matter. And whatever, if something happens to me, nobody cares. Yeah. And in fact, they're setting me up for something bad to happen to me. And everything in my mentality, any part of me that had like this hope or this idea that like what I'm doing is going to get me somewhere, I'm being treated great, just switched off. Yeah. And I was 19. I was pretty early in.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so.
And had already gone through so much in that year or whatever it was. Yeah, that's crazy.
And he's in prison now.
Okay.
Yeah. With, I think he's seen like 300 years.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Can I say his name?
Probably good.
I think
That's
so.
up to
Right? I mean,
you.
he's in prison. He's not. It was Ron Jeremy.
Okay.
Wow.
The porn star. That was the worst one for me because they knew that he was raping people, and they put me and another girl in a room and dropped him off. And we were in another state. We had no way home. It was really, really scary. I remember that was the time I actually called my mom crying because I was afraid. I didn't know what was going to happen. And
like before or after?
Yeah, before.
Or just to tell her,
I
like,
said,
I don't know where I
if
am.
this doesn't go right, I don't know. I might need somebody to help me get home. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, they got my license. They got my everything, They put us up in this hotel room. And we actually, God is so amazing. I didn't know anything about faith really, right? But I just felt like I heard this voice that was like, put all these layers of clothes on. And so I just look at her, I said, we got to get all these clothes on
get
right
dressed.
now. Yeah, and we're putting like everything we can on. And I said, we're going to make him think we're on our periods and we're gay. And so we made her bed and we threw tampons and stuff everywhere. Just like leave them out in the open. To make him mentally see tampons everywhere and think, oh, they're, on their periods. And so I won't rape them, like a rapist cares about that. But it was enough that he still sexually assaulted us, but he didn't rape us. And I was like weirdly grateful for that.
Yeah.
Oh, at least it was just that and not the other. But I remember walking into work the next day and looking, and my manager at that club was the owner's son, like the one who started this entire place, and looking at him and saying, I know what you did. And he just kind of laughed, like, did you have a good night? And I was just like, I mean, that's the point where I was like, I just started blackout drinking.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was doing any mixing drugs left and right. It was just like my whole psyche just broke. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like something just came over me. Like, I'm done.
So to the point of that, like when you experience something like this, did it carry on, or did you come to a head and say, I got to get out of this? Yeah.
I started to take a lot more control of myself after that. I started to like push back against them a lot more. I still saw Ron. I mean, he was still a feature. He would come to the clubs all the time, And the messed up thing about it is I don't even think he remembered who I was, because he's just so used to assaulting people and,
just faceless almost.
Just putting women on the sacrificial block.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with who you are. Or
no,
anything.
not at all. And, but I did start pushing back against management, and I like weirdly in my own head, right? I was like, I'm going to take my customers now, and I'm going to leave, So I would fight back. I would get in physical fights. I started fist fighting people a lot. I mean, just men, women.
Just
I didn't
and
care.
Violent. Yeah.
I was just a train wreck of a person. And then I had kids. I still didn't care. I was still so numb. And because I, at that point, had been discovered, I was doing the modeling industry. I was flying out to LA. I mean, I was all over the place, just living in consumption of fame and power and money and sex and all these different things. And, but I was just so empty. Like, I don't know how to explain having your face on a magazine cover and, your Michigan's top 100 hotties, and it just doesn't it doesn't matter. I was so empty and so dead inside, and I could not do enough of anything to like fill that hole in my heart. And, what started as like caring about what men thought, I started to hate them and become very violent towards them. You know, guys would like pay me a compliment and I would smash them in the face with a beer bottle. Like, you know, don't talk to me. I mean, it was just like I was in constant trauma mode, constantly, unless I was doing my job, right? And if I'm at my job, I'm sweet. I'm whatever you need me to be.
Compartmentalize enough to.
It was almost like multiple personality disorder at that point. I just could not ever connect to myself because I constantly had to detach, you know? So yeah, it was really, really hard. And learning how to, you know, try to go to college but it's like, man, I'll tell you, Satan is so good. We do not give enough credit to the spirit realm because the amount of men that would come up to me, I remember guys coming up to me with like their phone and being like, "You're my screensaver." You know, and I'm like, how of all places did you find me here? You know, like just the randomness of like those familiar spirits, like there she is, go get her.
See, and I had a, so like I said, mainly in my, you know, after high school, college, a lot of my friends, we all went to the stuff, and I actually had one of my good friends that was a male stripper, turned into a male stripper. Yeah. And it was the same thing. Like he would have women come up to him and like compliment him about things or, hey, I want to date you or I want to go out. And it just made him, you could tell it just made him like feel so good. Yeah. Trying to fill a void that he couldn't fill.
No, you can't get enough.
And it just goes south every time.
Yeah. And at this point I was like over 10 years in, you know, which I used to like joke, like, you know, somebody put a bullet in my head if I'm here for more than 5. And then I'm like 10, 11, 12, you know, just watching time go by, like stuck in this loop, you know. But at this point, the club has allowed, and even though I'm not as involved in the trafficking aspect, now I'm in the recruitment, you know, like because you can only be a victim for so long before you become a perpetrator. I think that that's something that we don't talk about a lot in this world is, and I would say that I have shame if I hadn't been forgiven by Christ. I'm not proud of the things that I've done, but I understand what survival in that world is. And you can only be, you know, hurt for so long before you're like, it's time, my time to
start hurting other people.
I'm going to start hurting.
Absolutely.
You know, and so I, you know, at that point, like I was, you know, bringing people in because I don't want to be on the bottom anymore. Yeah. Now, I
did
know,
your time.
Yeah,
kind of
I know what they're up against. It's not my problem anymore.
Now, in that cycle, doing that, did you help those girls out too?
I have now. Yeah. Which, like, praise God.
Knowing what you went through. You know what I mean?
Well, I can see like losing your compassion, but then once you find Christ, getting that compassion back and just going back in
and just apologizing. Yeah, sure. I mean, some of it was just reconnecting with them and going, I owe you an apology because I knew. I didn't care back then. Yeah. I will say, I think I was almost like a borderline sociopath, you know, because I was just so
You're like in so much survival mode, your body doesn't even know what to do.
Which, thank God, I did get therapy, and they did tell me later that is a trauma response.
Yeah,
she was like, you just wake up every day like in trauma, like getting beat by your boyfriend, going through this, going through that. Like any point I turned, something bad was happening, you know. Collectively, because I also make bad choices, right? Like I choose bad people to be around, so I'm exposed to constantly bad 100%. Things, you know. Yeah. So
we hear time and time again. Sorry to cut you.
You're good, buddy.
You know, people saying, you know, I was searching for so much, like worldly stuff, like fame and fortune or whatever. Like David Zeiderveen, he made it to the NFL. He's reaching his biggest goal that he ever could get to. He's making all this money and everything. And same thing. He's like, I'm just missing something, man. I'm not feeling what I need. I thought I needed.
We have a creator. And so there's something inside of us that's God-shaped that only Him as our creator can fill. And so many times we're trying to stuff so much other stuff into there to make us feel like what only God can make us feel like we're chasing the peace that only He can bring. Yeah. And it's
absolutely.
Yeah. And so when we find that, it's like, oh my gosh, I was missing the Lord. I was missing my creator. You know, I was missing my Father. Like
And how did that moment look for you? Like what turned you to say, hey, I need the Lord. I need to get out of this. I need the Lord. Let's go.
I didn't. In fact, I was pretty mean to him. I was definitely a blasphemer. And there were girls in the club that believed, and I would make it a point to make fun of them.
Oh, wow.
I keep, to this day, there's like 2 pictures that exist of me where like I'm dressed as a schoolgirl and then another girl's dressed as like a nun, and then there's somebody dressed as a priest, and we would do these like lesbian bachelorette party shows and stuff where I would just mock things like that. And I keep them as like a reminder to myself, like to the darkness that I escaped from. And I remember like I used to make statements like, well, if God wants me to stop, because my mom, I'm going to pray for you. And I'm like, don't, don't you dare.
I don't need it.
I don't want that, like if he wants me to stop, he's going to have to come down. Well, then he did. And so I was... and
he will.
Yes. I was like 1 day or 2 days away from, there was this like really, really big competition. That was like a game changer, right? Like I was going to get my hustler contract. I was like, I'm doing this. I'm all in now, right? Because I'm still chasing all these things. And I just want to like streamline my way straight into porn. And so, yeah. So I'm in the car with this other girl, and I didn't know that she had taken like these sleeping pills or something. She had been putting my extensions in. I wasn't on drugs. I think I had smoked weed or something that night. And so I'm like, I'm going to take a nap. I danced all night before we get out. She's doing my extensions because I got this big show. Staying up for like 3 days in a row is not a big deal to me. I have cocaine. I have ecstasy. If I want to get up.
Or supplements.
I got something for that. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to take a quick nap. And we're getting her daughter from school. And I hear, like her yell out like, oh, and I feel this van. We're in this like big cargo van. And I feel it like doom, doom, side. And I didn't have my seatbelt on. So I didn't have time to like really like react. I remember sitting like bolting up because I can feel this van rocking. And she's trying to like hold the wheel. And when they say like your life flashes before your eyes, that's that was a real thing for me. Like I saw little snippets. Like I remember seeing like my daughter's dad, holding her when she was a baby. And I remember like, hugging my sister, like these little clips of my life. Oh. And all of a sudden, like, I know it sounds crazy, but this hand, right, like comes out of the sky, like this giant hand that it had to be like 7 foot in length, and I feel it like grab me and push me, boom, right down in the seat. And I hear this voice say, lay down. This is going to hurt, but you're going to live.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, what? And I mean, immediately as soon as my head hit that seat, we started flipping. And I was in shock. We flipped into somebody's birthday party, right in their front yard while they were having a birthday party.
Holy cow.
I didn't realize at the time, the people that were trying to help me out of the vehicle, I'm like helping my friend get out and walking around. And I'm like, oh man, my neck hurts. Cause my bones were like so twisted up that they could see under my skin and my spine. I had fractured my C3 and my C4, and I had like a couple of discs that were like, everywhere. And I said, so my head is on fire. And the next thing I know, I was like, boom, down on the ground.
Wow.
And I woke up, strapped to the chair and everything. And I kept trying to get up, and they said, if you do that one more time, you're not going to walk. So stay still. I was like,
you can literally paralyze
like gurney
yourself.
on the way to the hospital, or were you there?
I was on my way to the hospital trying to what's going on? I think just
freaking
adrenaline.
out. Yeah.
And then got to the hospital and found out, so I begged them not for like a halo and stuff. I was like, please don't drill into my head. I'm a model, because I'm
super important.
I'm super famous. Don't do this to me. And even though MySpace is like the extent of social media right now.
Oh man, I remember MySpace.
But I had a big top 8, so but I was so still concerned about like my vanity. And I remember getting on the phone with the DJ and I was like, I'm still going to come, I'm going to do my show. And he was like, you have a broken neck. Like, you're not going anywhere. I'm like, yes, I am. I'll be fine. Like, like I'm not grasping
what's
happened to me. Like, your life is gone as you know it right now. And I grasped it pretty quickly when I got to the hospital and I was in a wheelchair and I couldn't walk. And I just, it was the only first time I had to be like dependent on anybody since I was 15. And it was just, I didn't know how to function. I was super angry and hateful and just taking painkillers and like all this, just laying there like in my woe is me. I have nothing. You've taken everything from me. And I couldn't forget about the hand though, right? Because when I would go in, I remember them saying they were so shocked I didn't have like drugs and alcohol in my system. Because they were like, you were so relaxed. If you hadn't relaxed, and I was like, it's the hand in the sky,
They're like, what are you talking about?
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in hands in the sky, kind of thing. And so one day I'm like, just angry, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk to him. And so I said, if you're so good, I hate you. Like, you ruined my life. You took everything from me. And it was like the second time that I heard that voice, and I heard him say, what makes you think I didn't save your life?
Wow.
And it was like, and all of a sudden that whole life flash before your eyes thing too, it's like I saw that in a different way, like all the times where, I was in a room with a customer and, they were throwing me around or, the drugs and the times where I overdosed and somebody would help me throw up or, it was like something
he was there.
He was there.
He was with you.
Yeah. And I felt like I was alone. I'm just spinning and spinning. And really what I'm doing is I'm just like raging against him.
Yeah.
I'm so mad at him. And I'm trying to like manifest. I'm into witchcraft. I'm into all, which is weird, right? Because I'm an atheist, but I'm like, I do my tarot cards and I manifest. And I do my
So you do believe in a power somewhere?
Yeah. Not anything but the Lord. Anything but Jesus, And so I started reading my Bible. And I lost everything. I really did. I still wasn't able to quit dancing. I got healed and came back to work. I just didn't do like my pole stuff and all that. It was like a different mindset going in. And it was actually a customer that said, I'm afraid if you stay here, you're going to die. Like he could see, like you're so broken. You're not the person you used to be. And why are you here again? And I was like, I have to be. I don't know anything else. I don't know anything else. I have 2 kids now. I have this relationship. He doesn't work and none of them work when you're in that job, And I didn't know what to do. And so my big loft went away. My nice car went away. But, I started just going to like a church and trying to, talk to him. And I think it was really hard.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Did you feel judged?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And especially with the stuff I was dealing with, right? Yeah. Like, I tell people like, you don't get to steal from Satan's storehouse and keep his stuff when you like get saved. Right. And so I was, dealing with like, I didn't know what they were, but I mean, I was like getting like thrown around in my room. I was getting scratches across my, these were like full on demonic attacks because I'm at these like Hollywood parties, right? I'm, trying to get like inducted in. I'm doing ritual sex. I'm doing like all these stuff that now I look back, I'm like, so that's like Illuminati type of stuff,
It's real.
Yeah, it's very real. Very, very real, and I was so deep in, like whatever I wanted, Satan gave me. That's what's crazy. I wanted to be on TV. I got on TV like not once, but twice immediately.
Yeah.
What's this small town girl from Beaverton, Michigan doing on Jerry Springer before I even graduate? And then I'm offered a job on it by the time I graduate, Why is it I want to be in this magazine? I'm in that magazine. I want to meet, I want to date this football player. I'm dating him. It was just like,
he'll give you the world if you want it.
Everything.
Satan is just feeding you.
And I would tell these church people like, hey, there's stuff, flying around my room. And I'm getting scratched. And I was like trying to show them like I got cuts and stuff. And they're like, you just need to pray about it. I'm like, what?
They don't know what to do about it.
I am praying. In fact, when I pray, I'm getting attacked.
It's
getting worse, right? Because I don't know anything about spiritual warfare.
Full on demonic stuff.
I had no idea what it meant to leave witchcraft and the sex industry. It was really, really scary, and so it was really hard to navigate Christianity. That's why I am boldly transparent with women leaving. Like, you will lose everything.
Yeah.
Because everything that you got from that life, from that world, he's going to want it back.
Well, and sometimes you have to lose this stuff.
You have to.
It's from the devil to gain God and Jesus.
Yes, look where it came from.
Yeah, and speaking of Leonard, that's what he said. He's like, I was so messed up that God had to take me that far in order for me to see him.
Yes, 100%.
But the cool thing about God is that he's willing to meet you there. But Leonard said this too. He's like, but he loves you too much to leave you there.
Amen.
Like he meets you where you're at and starts telling you how much he loves you and how much he is fighting for you and walking alongside you. And then he calls you slowly but surely to higher ground, into righteousness. And it's like that process, that sanctification process is so, it's just incredible. Yeah. Like what the Lord is willing to do for us. Just like we were talking about before, when he's calling you to meet these people, like downtown Grand Rapids later on, bring some alcohol, bring some drugs, get
bring
down
what
Yes. Get down
to show them,
get down on their level, just like I did for you.
Yes.
And
100%.
Be Jesus to these people. Like that's incredible.
I was like still at the bar, because I had to do like appearances, like guest appearances and different things. Like I didn't leave the modeling industry even once I left dancing. It took me another 8 years to leave the modeling industry. But I wasn't like as worried about fame, I guess, anymore. It was just like, this is what I know how to make money. I'm still using sexuality to make money. I just felt in my mind, right? Like it's a better route because I'm not naked everywhere. So
it wasn't quite as much of a personal cost.
It's not right. I'm not naked 4 inches from your face. I'm naked on a computer screen now. It's
and it's the process of, like Shauna was saying, it's that process of sanctification. And that's what I love about the honesty of your story, because a lot of people, hear testimonies and they think, oh, I had this encounter like your accident and boom, God saved me and everything is great.
Everything's good to go.
And it's like, that's not the truth, man. And a lot of times it gets harder.
Yes.
And you're trying to navigate everything that you know, but also trying to learn about God. You don't know about him.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about him.
And you got to learn about him. You got to know what it is to live like Jesus. And so that's a process. And so
how to read that book. Like I carry my Bible everywhere with me. And I have to tell people like sometimes like how to start reading the Bible, right? It's not just like a start in the beginning and move back through everything. It's like learn about Jesus, The first story that I read that I was like, oh, whoa, hold up, was the woman at the well.
Oh, yeah.
That one's still like, I'm choking up right now just saying it, like
I
reading
just read that today.
Oh, it's such a good story. And it was just like, because I loved history, right? Like I actually loved history. I would have been a history teacher if life had gone differently. So I understood what a Samaritan was. Yeah. I was like, oh, she's kind of like a Muslim,
Yeah.
And so knowing like the correlation between the Jews and the Samaritans and all that, and like understanding like what Jesus really did in that moment. It wasn't just, I'm speaking to a woman. It's like, look at the kind of woman. And not only is she not one of us and she's our enemy, right? But she's an adulteress on top. I mean, it's just like you would like a triple full. Like anything this woman did is just getting worse and worse and worse. Like the more we delve into her character, it's just like the worst possible person that he could have.
Jesus is calling it out.
Yes, and he's calling it out, and he's walking through it with her. And it's actually like the first time that he reveals himself in his ministry as well, right? Outside of the wine and stuff, is the first time that he says, "This is who I am." And I was like, "What a powerful statement!" Like. If he can come to somebody like that, then maybe it is okay that he came to me. Maybe I can work for him. Yeah. I've been working for the devil for a long time. What's it like if I work for this guy now? Yeah.
I love that.
I
love that. So where does it go? You're building your faith.
Yeah.
You're growing your faith.
Yeah.
did you find somebody to latch on to look to a direction, or how did you grow your faith?
I did find people, and then I would very quickly get sucked into like false prophets, power hungry dynamic. Yeah. Because I didn't have like any discernment, and I was just like, oh, they're taking an interest in me. And then but thank God, because I'd be like, something feels weird. And so eventually I'm like, okay.
He was teaching you discernment a little bit along the way. Absolutely.
Which I now realize I did have. I was just in witchcraft. We used it differently. I would say it was like soothsaying almost, right? Like, and so I was like, oh, I know what this one is. Once I got discernment, like, it's my intuition. I know about intuition.
Yeah.
And so eventually I'm like, okay, God, what do I do? And I hear him say, like, to put a blanket in my car. And I'm like, stupid thing. You want me to put a blanket in my car? And so I go to these bars, and I'm still partying, I still like to drink and all that, but I'm like, sorting stuff out. And then this one night I had this blanket in my car, and there's this homeless guy sitting outside, and he's like, it's pretty cold. And so I'm like, oh, I got this blanket. And so I take my blanket and I go and I sit with this man, and all my friends are like, oh, come back in. What are you doing? And I'm like, no, I'm not coming in. And I actually go and bought a bottle of wine, and I sat there and we shared the blanket, and he just started talking with me about faith. And I was like, what is this?
Wow.
And so
I was kidding me?
And I was just like, I want to do this every day. And so that's actually how I grew my faith, because I could not find a church that could understand the gravity of what I was saying. That they couldn't, I would try like therapy, and I don't think back then people were equipped. First of all, we didn't call it trafficking, right? So I didn't even know I was a trafficking victim.
Right. Till later.
Till much later. Until I started working with like the state of Michigan, and I was like, wait a second, I fit that definition, like, oh, holy crap. But I also, I wanted to do ministry, but I was like, well, I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to be a drug addict. So I'm going to talk to these people. And I would make bags, like sandwich baggies, and I would just like walk around and pass them out. And then I would talk to people like about Jesus, and tell them like, I used to be homeless, and and like, I still drink. And so, and then sometimes God would be like, well, just grab a fifth of vodka. And I would go and I would get the vodka. Like, I'm going to drink anyways when I get home, right? But instead I would take the vodka and I would go downtown. And at this point I had like moved to Grand Rapids. And so now I'm like standing outside of Deglegé at nighttime, like sharing vodka with people because it's about to snow. And I know that alcohol, when you're homeless, will help you like stay warm. I mean, it doesn't really, but like you feel warm because you're drunk, And so I'm out there like drinking with them. And then I'm like, oh, can I pray with you guys? And, and now we're all praying together and stuff. So I started doing that, and then I would share it on social media, like, oh, does anybody want to come pass out sandwiches? And next thing I know, like, I'm leading these groups of like 30, 40, 50, 60 people, and we're feeding 20, 30, 40, 200, 300 people at a time. I've got like all of Hartside Park filled. We got a barbecue truck down there. We're like a line down the road,
That's so cool.
So you're trying to share Jesus in any way you can.
Any way I can.
Whether it's alcohol,
weed,
and still
anything I could think of, that I knew they needed down there.
In your own journey, you're still healing. You're
not
still
fully
going through it. That's incredible.
I had quit like hard drugs, but I didn't think weed was a problem. I didn't see myself as an alcoholic because I wasn't drinking like a half gallon of Captain Morgan anymore, right? I'm just like, I like a couple of beers at night and stuff. So, but I knew how to reach people that way. And I also knew that there was not programs for people that were not Christian to serve, right? So I would, in my mind, I'm like, well, I work for Jesus, and I have a lot of friends that are Satanist and, like witches and different things. So like, if they come and they do the street ministry with me, like by de facto, they're working for Jesus. And so now like I'm kind of like tricking everybody into be like, you guys work for Jesus today. And people would come and they would, like they'd be smoking weed and they'd be drinking while we're putting all these bags together. But I'm talking like when we would walk through these rooms, like the piles of stuff, the amount of stuff, Heartside Ministry used to just let us, like, they just used to open it up and I would just go in there and they gave us the whole place for the day and we would just set up bags. I mean, it was like a whole production that I started out of the back of my car with a couple of sandwich bags.
That's amazing.
And where they might not give like the prototypical Christian at the time of day.
Yes.
You know, they look at you and now you've got that rapport with them.
Yeah,
you
heavily
know.
tattooed, shaved head. You know what I mean? Like I'm still dressing kind of, you know, different. Like it was, I was super approachable, you know, and I also knew the vernacular. You know, like if you ever went out in the street with me, you'd be like, wow, you talk a lot different when you're out here. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I know how to slip in and out of like my old dope dealer self to like this person now. You know, and I think that's where God was like the most effective with me. And in that though, like, so I remember like one time we went out, we had 43 hot dogs. I know that's a weird thing, but I just remember because I was like, that's not a lot of food. And we pull up outside of, I think it's called God's Kitchen in Grand Rapids. And there's a line like going down and I'm like, that's a lot more than 43. And I'm like, I know God told me to come here though. Like, I have to get out. You know, and they're like, the volunteers that are with me are like, we don't have enough food. And I'm like, I know, but like, this is where we were sent.
Yeah, do what we can.
And so we get out and we start serving. And it was like this one family I remember coming up and they had a couple kids with them. And I was like, oh my gosh, we don't have any food. And they asked, you know, do you have anything? And I was like, let me check the boxes. And I turn around, there's more hot dogs and there's more water bottles.
Like the fishes in
like the loaves of fishes.
The fishes, 100%. To the point where the little boy said, do you guys have any blankets? And he was asking for a blanket for him and his sister. I'm like, no, we gave them all away. And this volunteer goes, well, let me check the back of the car. And she goes back and she comes back with a bag of blankets. And I'm like, I know we cleared that truck out.
Yeah.
Because we are in such need down here. Like there's nothing left. And like there's all of a sudden there's this bag of blankets.
Wow.
So when all of us volunteers get back, you know, to the center and we're sitting there, everybody's just dead silent. And finally I'm like, is anybody gonna like the math?
Acknowledge what
the math is not mathing.
The math is not. And they're like, so you guys saw that too? And we're like, yeah, like that was like a Bible story, right?
Now these
like,
people here that you're doing this with, were they your non-Christian friends?
Yeah. There's a couple of them.
So they're seeing this miracle happen.
This miracle happen. Yeah.
So not only are you ministering to the homeless, but you're ministering to the people that you brought along to help serve the homeless.
Yeah.
That's
Jesus
awesome.
is like, hey, I got this.
I
got this whole realm right
Hey,
now.
I just want you to go there and do this. I'll do the rest.
I'll do the rest. I mean, we would like, the training that I went through with the Lord was so intense. And it was like, I remember one time on Christmas, he told me to get up and leave my house and go drive around. And I'm like, oh, there's nobody out. Like the shelter makes sure everybody comes in on Christmas, especially. There was a lot of snow that year. I was like, there's nobody out. And I hear him, he says, pull over. And I'm like, there's nothing here. Just a bunch of like trash cans and empty boxes and stuff. And he's like, get out, walk around. And so I'm like, what you got me out here doing, man? And I'm out there with my brother. And we're walking. And I go, I don't know why you brought me here. And I'm like, we get back in the car. Maybe I heard him wrong. And my brother goes, I think there's somebody under here. And somebody had laid themselves underneath a tarp. And they were, because the water was coming down and it was like this like thing that was melting onto them. And she was frozen to the ground. Like her hair was frozen in the ground. And she was in hypothermic shock at that point because she was just unconscious from alcohol. So we're like, chucking, like, you know, getting her hair off the ground, putting her in the vehicle. She starts violently shaking. And then I had to like go in, you know, to Mel Trotter, like, I'm not leaving till you let her in or call the hospital or something, you know. And then I got to see her at like another event that we did. Somebody brought her up to me and they're like, she remembers you, I guess, like, you know, and I was just like weeping, you know what I mean? Like, but like I went through stuff like that.
So like, it was a full God
for like
thing.
4 years. Just of like turn here, do this, do that, boom, 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 you know, and like reading that Bible and learning about who he was. And people just thought like, you're crazy, you know, like I was a zealot or something.
Amazing.
Well, one of my favorite things about hearing your testimony was how you lead other women up now and in your path. And go into that a little bit and how that looks now, you know what I mean, with your leadership with women.
Yeah. So, like the day that actually aired at TVC, there was a girl that I danced with for like 20 years who got baptized that day.
I remember that.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
I got to help baptize her. I was just like a mess, you know. It was so awesome. But I basically, when I left for a while, I didn't talk about any of the stuff that happened. Like I went through that thing especially when I was doing ministry, where like people knew that I had danced and stuff, but I wasn't ready to like say like I was a prostitute or anything. You know. And a lot of the girls that I worked with didn't know. There was a select group of us that did things together, but we never discussed it.
Oh, really?
Oh, ever. No,
you guys didn't talk about it
Not
at all?
In fact, we only started talking about it together like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, like 20 years later.
Now that you hear that now from them, did you guys go through a lot of the same stuff?
Yes. Yeah. And some of it I was with them, but even when we were together and something would happen, we would not, it wasn't like we would leave and then talk about it. Yeah. It was like we just both
it down.
internally shut it off, you know? One of the girls has like such a hard time with her memory. Like she will like on occasion call me and be like, hey, I don't remember, but did we? And I'm like, yeah, we did, you know? And then I got to walk through that with her. But one by one, I felt like God was just like, look, like you're sharing the drug stuff, you're sharing this, you're sharing that, you know? And it was out of anger towards like human trafficking myths that I shared a video where I just went off about the way that people are approaching it, or like stop treating these, you know, like you're so quick to be like, oh, save the children, and then like make fun of strippers and stuff. And like, you don't even know what they're going through. And when I did that, I don't know, it was like, I think like 17,000 views later, my inbox just blew up from women I worked with that were like, I didn't even know you went through that. I went through that. This happened to me. I mean, all of a sudden we were all talking, sharing, stuff started to come out. And this is across like multiple clubs that I worked at. Wow. And so I was like, well, I'm going to educate myself about this. And that's when I sat in a meeting with like the Attorney General, and she laid out all the stuff of what human trafficking is. And that's when it hit me. We're being trafficked by a corporation,
right?
You know, like the taking your ID, I thought it was special. I got a limo, you know, different things. Yeah.
They made it look a lot better than it actually was.
It's like
40% of your money goes to them after you do a sex act. Like it's,
Isn't it crazy? Because I was listening to you in like the community that you were a part of, community, right? Because the Lord loves us to be in community, and I'm thinking the devil wants us to be alone and feel isolated. But he gave you that community, but you also still felt so alone.
Yes,
like you're going through all of this stuff together.
Yeah.
And you're not even talking about it with those girls that you were a part of it with. No. And that's the devil keeping you separated. Yeah. Not sharing. Yeah. Because if you guys are striking up conversations about what you just went through, you probably would have realized a lot sooner that this is terrible. Yeah. Like, why are we doing this?
You're carrying all this guilt. Like, oh, what I'm doing is illegal. So because what I'm doing, I got to be
well, and I'm saying, you know? Like, not you guys are terrible, but you're saying this is terrible what's being done to us. Like, you would have realized these people are taking advantage.
I didn't think it was being done to me. Yeah. I thought I was doing it.
Yes.
Right?
Sure.
I don't, in my mind, it's not that I'm enjoying it, but I'm like, oh, well, I get something out of it. Yeah. You know, I get like elevated in the club.
It's like you're not going to say anything because it's keeping you. And
I got a boob job, you know, like all these different things that I got out of it. Like, thank God I had all that removed, everything, like cut it all out. I don't want any part of that left.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I'm on the Michigan legislator team for informed consent for breast implants.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. God,
that's such a deep well.
Helped me like remove everything that was associated with that. My fillers, all that stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
I think about back where you were talking about, you kept those pictures of, you know, where you're almost mocking God and everything. Mm-hmm. And I just, when you were telling that little story, I'm like, just how great the grace of God is. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That. Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it's awesome.
Is, dude.
Yeah. It's amazing.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I spent the past, I've been out now for, my daughter's 14, so I've been out for 13 years. I have spent like 10 years trying to clean up my online footprint, right? Thinking I can't get jobs. I got turned down for volunteer positions. I was a youth leader at one point, and then somebody printed off all my photos from the industry and turned them into the church, and it was a very bad situation. They, you know, once it was like Satan just kept attacking my faith, no matter what I did. It's like, look.
He does that.
Yeah. Ugh. And like a week ago, my daughter, a couple weeks ago, my daughter got baptized. And so I once again was like, I'm going to
praise God.
Yeah,
she
that's
got
amazing.
baptized?
Yeah.
How old?
She's 18.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
So good.
I was like,
Another one for God.
Amen. And I was like, I'm gonna do this search, before I post like her picture, because I'm like didn't want,
something to come back on her.
Yeah, and like to tag the church in case, and there's nothing. Like he removed stuff that I had been fighting to get off the internet for years. Like couldn't find it under my fake name, my real name, my maiden name. Like it was just like I was gone off the internet, and I was just like weeping. Like
were you praying for this?
Oh yeah, for 10 years, 10 years, and so many photographers were nice to me, but there's just some stuff I just could not get rid of, and God wiped it clean. Like we're doing a new thing.
Yeah.
Like this amazing. Is not going to keep following you. And now when you speak about it, because I've always been afraid of like talking and being like warning men against the dangers of porn and all these type of things, only for them to turn around and Google
be
me
curious or something.
And, and now I'm contributing to the problem. It's like, I felt like that thing where Satan was just like, ha ha ha, I got you one more time, and it's just gone. Yeah. And I was just like, So when you were asked, I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm free.
I do too. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we can spotlight for you, like what you're doing right now? Or is there anything that you know of that we can push people to go to donate or help out or serve or
just
anything?
Research?
I guess I don't... I will say this, in recovery and like helping girls leave like some pretty serious trafficking situations. Like I've worked with the FBI. I've helped find bodies of murdered women, things like that, because that's really commonplace in this industry. The thing that I would like to highlight, right, is we are not our children's best friend, okay? And Satan has so cleverly given us compassion sometimes towards like empathy and all that for the wrong things too. Like I want my kid to feel like they're grown up and they're making decisions and all that. I
intercede for them.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And like go boldly and say, let me see your phone. Let me see this. And I don't care how I do this to my 18-year-old, and it's not an invasion of privacy. For me, if somebody had stepped in and chased me around to say, I love you, I don't want to see this, like I'm going to keep inserting myself in your life. I'm going to keep asking, what are you doing? What are you doing? Who are you talking to? Who's that person picking you up? What's going on here? Instead of just, my parents being like, you're a big kid, make your own choices, fight for them. You know what I mean? Because
advocate for
them and don't be afraid to be honest with them. Like as a church, I think sometimes we focus so much on speaking about grace that we forget to, teach them that evil is very, very real. And whatever God has for your life, Satan has a false package waiting too. And if he can get you into the false one first, there's a stronger likelihood that he can kill you before you ever understand your calling. I don't know how I'm alive. I truly mean that.
I do.
Jesus. Yes,
right.
Jesus, you're right.
So good.
On my own accord, it was very easy for me to fall in. I cannot express how quickly Satan was like, I'll give you whatever you want, So you have to, don't just think because I've raised my kids right, I pray for them that you're, like, go to war
have to be
for
very
them,
present.
man. Go to war for your family because Satan is warring against your family, So if I could leave people with anything, it's that. And don't be afraid to call porn sin. You have to say it is sin.
100%. I had to wipe myself for that. It's sin.
And it's okay.
100%.
We can say, look, this is wrong and we can't do this. And we have to not be afraid to have conversations about it because what you see on the screen is not what you think is taking place.
Right.
We can't say I'm against human trafficking, but I'm pro porn because porn is fine.
Right.
Like it's
all intermingled.
They're all intermingled.
Yeah.
There's no such thing
and
as
you know what?
It's a blurred line.
Guys don't want to talk about it.
Not at all.
No, that's the one thing that no one, we won't talk about it in the church.
Yeah.
I know.
We won't preach about it.
Drives me nuts.
And
I don't understand.
it wasn't until that I actually seen this and the power of being vulnerable and showing these things. When we went to main camp, and like there's guys sharing these deep, dark things that they've been holding on to that they haven't told anybody. And just seeing the release and the surrender to God in that, and just the power behind it, you know? And we need to speak up.
Be a man.
Have to speak up.
Dude, it's the same thing with Fusion Camp, man. The kids were, that was, I bet 10 out of the 15 kids were dealing with porn.
Oh, 100%.
Addiction to porn.
Yeah.
That's how the devil is attacking.
And
We've talked about that. It's like,
when I was a youth leader, I was in charge of 17 and 18-year-old girls, and we had girls in there that were struggling with porn addiction. And this was before like smartphones were really, really big. So imagine what they're dealing with now. You know, we had teenagers. We had one who was like 13 and had a baby already. I mean, this generation is being attacked on every front. And we have to speak on it. We do. And we have to call a spade and stop saying sex work is real work. Like, it's just stop. Stop. Because it's evil. It's wicked. And it destroys not only the woman that God has waiting for you, but it destroys the man and his ability to see her, you know, without lustful eyes and stuff. Like, it destroys on all fronts. You know, men and women, children, families, like... It's a ravenous beast, and we have to speak against it. And we have to advocate for our kids to let them know what they're up against.
What's out there.
Yeah, because they're walking into a world where like they can't even watch a McDonald's commercial now without some type of sexual suggestion.
It's crazy.
And we have to, you know, let them know what that's about instead of just thinking, oh, I've done a good job. You know, it's not a slight against your parenting. It's Satan. No, he's watched your parenting. He's looking for the little cracks.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot of them.
Yes, we do.
Everybody does.
Well, Leyna, thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate your time.
I know there's a lot of people that are going to be blessed by your story, and there's people listening right now. I just wondered if you'd pray us out.
Yeah,
whatever is on your heart, and just to that person, whether it's the girl that's listening or the guy.
Amen.
I'd be honored if you could pray us out.
Yeah, absolutely. Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for people that are willing to have deep conversations, Lord. I want to thank you that in the same way that you will part the sea for the Israelites to cross, Lord, you'll part the waves and the storms that Satan just relentlessly nails on us so that we can always find a way out. I just want to thank you for your divine timing. I want to thank you for this ministry that's just right here at this table. And whoever's listening, Lord, I just pray that they hear and understand that you are never too far gone. You cannot, even in the depths of your wickedness, do enough to make God not love you. And at any point, you can come back to him. And I just pray for anybody that's listening, if they feel like they're so far gone, to rebuke that lie and know that there's a God who loves you and a Savior who died for you. And we pray all this in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.